Hey there. Welcome. Ah, I move my camera. Hold on. That'll help. There we go. That's better. Hey, Dave. Good to see you. I started a few minutes early just to give people a chance to get in here and get settled. So, how are you doing today, Dave? Oh, all right, thank you. Hello, everybody. Hey, Donna. I just pulled pizza out of the oven, but it's like way too hot to eat. Hey, Dipper. Donna, I'm going to actually do a like a reading like I normally do for this chat. I'm going to read some from Cesar, and then I'll put the link in and let people come up. Because I know I've already got one person who is going to be coming in that has a specific question on this topic. And so, yeah, it's a spinach and mushroom pizza. Yummy. So I've got two pieces over here just staring at me, but I don't dare touch them because they're way too hot. Hey, Dreams, welcome. You don't have to have a dog. I promise you, even before I had a dog, I liked Cesar Millan. I learned things from him about myself and how to deal with other people. So you might learn something. It might surprise you. Yeah, Ken, I started a couple minutes early to let people get in here before 3 o'clock. You're right, Donna. Good morning, Ken. Come here, Chloe. Come here. Come here. No, she's not sure why I'm not eating that pizza. I'm just letting it sit there. She can't figure that out. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come over here. Come here. Come here. Come here. She's just confused. Because they always get the pizza crust, so, you know, she's like, why aren't you eating that now? I'll start in a couple minutes, give people a few more chances to get in here. I get to play with my Nightbot some more today. Make it say a few more things. And I'll run this chat for an hour like I normally do. And then if people want to just kind of have a BS chat afterwards, I'll restart the stream and leave this as an hour for it to be watchable, and then we can just kind of talk about whatever afterwards. So thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. This is teaching her to be super duper gentle where my fingers are involved. It's a big enough treat that I can hold it and she can nibble off of it. And she's gotten really good at not touching my fingers. I better give one to Spike now. He's staring at me. You can see him. Where are you? Here. You go. Well, you don't get any more. You just had one. Yeah, Spike's pretty serious when it comes to treats, Dave. I'm going to send a quick message to the one person that was actually had the issue she had questions about with a fearful dog. So I'm going to text her real quick. Is that good, Spike? I've actually upped his food a little bit, Dave, because he's lost enough weight that I've upped his food a little bit, and yeah, he's pretty happy with that. Three and 4 a.m., huh? Wow. Hey, Lisa, welcome. Good to see you. The person coming in is actually somebody, I know her in real life. I met her 25 odd years ago, but she's in the dog training group that I run, and she will be new here. So her name is Sherry. She's pretty sweet. There she is. Everybody say hi to Sherry. Good to see you, Sherry. I'm glad you're here. I have known Sherry for more than 25 years. She's a good friend of mine. So, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started now. We've got a good group of people here, and it is a little after 3 o'clock. So, our subject today is how to deal with a fearful dog. I've been dealing with one for 2.5 years, and slowly we have been conquering fear after fear. It all started with the front steps. She would not come up the front steps on her own, and I had to teach her how to go up and down the front steps because she was even afraid of that. Hello, Anthony. So this is a subject that I'm quite familiar with, but I really like what Cesar has to say with it, and a lot of what I've done with my own dog I learned from Cesar Millan. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and read what Cesar has to say excuse me, about dealing with a fearful dog. The U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt once said, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." He said this in his first inaugural speech in 1933, when the country was in the middle of the worst depression it had ever experienced, but his words still apply today. He further described that fear as unnameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which makes it sound pretty scary. When we feel fear ourselves, it can be paralyzing, preventing us from doing anything about it. And when we see other humans in fear, particularly children, our first instinctual response is to comfort them, tell them it will be all right, and try to make the fear go away. When it comes to our dogs, though, this is exactly the wrong thing to do. This is because a dog relates your behavior to whatever it is doing in the moment, and it's how positive reinforcement training works. If you want to teach a dog to shake, you have to associate that behavior with a reward until your dog instinctively knows, if I do this with my paw, something good happens. Affection is a reward. To our dogs, affection is a reward. By comforting a fearful dog, you are rewarding what it is doing in that moment, being scared. You cannot explain to a dog why it shouldn't be scared, or tell the dog that the frightening thing won't hurt it or is going away soon. They do not have the cognitive abilities to understand those concepts. What they do understand is, I'm terrified and it's getting me a reward. My human wants me to do this. Over time, a timid back-of-the-pack dog can be turned into a skittish, terrified animal because of humans unintentionally rewarding him when he's in a negative energy state. Dogs don't need love when they're fearful. They need leadership. Dogs exhibit what's called Okay, I'll just skip that and say, basically in simple language, they learn by imitating. Can't say the word. Normally, this kind of learning only happens between members of the same species. But because of the special relationship between dogs and humans, they also learn by imitating us. This is why remaining calm and assertive when your dog is fearful is the key to helping them get over that fear. If they see that you aren't scared by that loud noise or the passing skateboarder or whatever, it will make them more confident. If their pack leader is ignoring the scary thing, then maybe it really isn't that scary. Remember, dogs have 4 instinctive responses to stimuli in the environment: fight, flight, avoidance, and surrender. A fearful dog exhibits either avoidance or flight. They try to either actively ignore or run away from the stimulus completely. Now, we don't want fight, which can sometimes be an extreme fear reaction. This is the classic cornered animal attacking viciously, even though it's scared to death. We want surrender, which is the dog simply accepting the stimulus without having a strong reaction to it. It's that calm, assertive energy that leads a dog to surrender. And this is the proper way to approach your fearful dog, with energy and actions, not words, by showing and not saying, I'm in charge here, everything is okay. There's one other way in which we can make a dog's fear worse, and that's to feel fear ourselves. Remember, dogs learn by imitating, and a fearful pack leader will lead to an unbalanced and unpredictable dog. The dog may shut down completely in a terrified state, or she may become extremely aggressive toward anyone or anything that approaches. This is because when the human is fearful, the leadership role is empty and a dog's natural reaction is to take over. To the dog, there has to be a pack leader. In the worst case scenario, it can take one incident of a dog reacting with fearful aggression to create a feedback loop that just makes things worse. The dog lunges at someone on the walk, the human becomes afraid that this will happen again, and the human's fear over the behavior does make it happen again. The human becomes more fearful and the process repeats. A fearful dog does not need comforting and definitely does not need the human sharing in that fear. A fearful dog needs a calm, assertive leader. We can't tell our dogs that everything is going to be okay, but we can definitely show them with our actions and energy. Stay calm and don't be afraid. So that is what Cesar has to say about dealing with a fearful dog. There are many techniques and ways of, actual behavior modification and working with the dog, and I would love to discuss some of that. I'm going to open the panel up. If you want to come up, if you have questions, have comments, you are more than welcome. If you want to type your question in the chat, we will most certainly discuss it. I know Sherry has a very specific question. Others of you might. So come on up and let's get this discussion going. And yes, I have my slushy. And no, it's not a slushy. It's just a slushy. Sherry, if you want to come up and talk about your question, just click on that link that I just put in chat, and you can come up on panel and talk about your question or your issue with your dog. And anybody else, you guys know how to use StreamYard, so. And if any of you deal with a dog that has a fear of something, I'd love to know what your techniques are for helping the dog with that fear, or, you know, what do you think you could do better to help your dog with that fear? Nope, the dogs don't get my slushy. Too much sugar. But they are wondering why the hell I'm not eating my pizza. Sherry, just if you click on the link, it'll just take you through a series of steps. You've got to have a camera and a microphone. And if you can't get it to work, you can always type your issue into chat, and we will definitely still discuss it. So then it might be easier if we can just talk. So what do you guys think of Cesar's ideas on, you know, dealing with a fearful dog? Yep, Donna, definitely with a dog that's going blind, it'll definitely scare them when something gets moved on them. Hey, Travis. Ken, she doesn't have to download it. It's not a download. It's on the web. That link should take her right there. Yeah, when baby was alive, we couldn't move the water bowl. We couldn't, you know, we had to leave everything the way it was. Travis says what you can do for a scared dog is talk quietly. Absolutely. You want to be calm. You know, like Cesar says, calm and assertive. Calm is definitely very important. I know with Chloe, we still have to be careful with how we speak around her, because she gets really nervous if there's too much tension in our voices or anything like that. Okay, Sherry, what you need to do, I'm not sure about on iPhone, but I know on Android, you have to basically tell it to go into desktop mode. But I don't know about iPhone, so just try the link and see if you can get it to work. Yeah, Dreams, he was raised with packs of dogs and learning about them as a very young man, so. Yeah, Donna, when the dog's going deaf too, you have to do a lot physically with the dog, which actually, dogs are very physical creatures. They don't necessarily understand the English language like we do. You know, you can teach dogs commands, and they'll, 1 or 2 word commands, but you can't have a conversation with them. But a lot of my commands that I do with my dogs, I do with my foot or my hand. And, I can just touch them and they know what I want just by a simple touch. So Travis gets down, he says, one thing I do with the dogs is I get down on their level and see what's scaring them. And that's definitely the best place to start, is figure out what's freaking them out, and then you can deal with it. Yeah, Donna, when we had baby, if he'd be out in the yard and he'd get a little turned around, I could just go up and just touch him on his side and kind of get him going in the right direction again. And, so yeah, definitely Travis is right. You figure out what's scaring the dog in the first place, and that helps you deal with it if you can find the cause. What I'll give you an example with Chloe. Grocery sacks, or like a garbage bag, like a 13-gallon garbage bag, when you flip it like this and it fills with air and opens up. If I even pulled out a garbage bag, she would freak out and run down the hall and hide. And I actually sat down with her one day and made her stay on the couch, and I just laid a garbage bag on the couch between her and me, and I gave her treats, and then I put the treats on the garbage bag, and then I moved the garbage bag and she could hear it make noise, but there was still treats on it. So she was wanting those treats, and so she figured out, hey, the bag isn't hurting me, it's actually feeding me, and that sound isn't quite so scary when there's food coming from it. And so eventually it got to the point where over time she quit running down the hall. She'd still cower at the end of the couch, but I just kept doing my normal routine of putting the bag in the garbage the way I always do. And now the other day I flipped it right next to her and it popped really loud, and she just looked at it like, whatever. So, I deconditioned her, or I conditioned her to the sound of it. And, but I started out by actually kind of making her face that thing with, putting treats on it, and she just, she's very treat driven. So it worked. I'm now doing that with her harness. I'm teaching her that her harness isn't a bad thing. And so I actually got her to put her head through it the other day by bribing her with a treat. I held up the harness so the hole was here, and I held the treat, and she actually had to stick her head through the hole to get the treat. And I eventually got the whole harness on her for the first time, left it on for about 2 minutes, and then took it off, and then gave her a bunch of treats and made it a real positive thing. So Sherry, Ken says that StreamYard does not like iPhone. So just go ahead and type in the chat what's going on with your dog. And if you have to do a couple paragraphs, that's okay. Give us kind of details of what happened. I know you told me, but let the chat know. We've got some good people in here that know about dogs and might be able to give some good feedback to you. So, and if anybody wants to come up on panel, I don't like talking to myself up here. So Donna, how are you teaching them that the broom is okay? Because I know a lot of people will use a broom to correct their dog, and so the dogs learn to avoid it. How are you teaching them that it's an okay thing? Okay, Sherry says, today I was trying to put Brendy on her leash, and she saw the leash and ran from my room and under my bed. Is that the first time she's ever done? Okay, so you walk her daily. Is that so? That's the first time she's ever run away from the leash, you're saying? Okay, Donna. Yeah, so you're conditioning them to be okay with the broom by actually having them touch it. That's definitely a good way to do it. I had a dog that never appreciated the vacuum. So Sherry, did anything strange happen between the last time you walked her and this time when you tried to walk her? Did anybody else put the leash on her, or did somebody in your house like hit her with the leash, or, you know, do something threatening with it? Because I know you've told me about the dynamics in your house, so um, that's why I'm asking that. Can you think of anything that might have to do with the leash and collar that would be negative for her? Well, Donna, you're probably in a situation where it's like they're tiny dogs, so you've never really felt a need to put a leash on them, and so they weren't trained young. I'm kind of dealing that with Chloe. I think they probably used the leash to beat her, and so she's scared of it, but she's also acts like she's never really been on a harness or a leash for any amount of time. And so yeah, because our dogs just run in the yard, and I want to get them to where I can take them for walks. Okay, Sherry, Karen put her out last night. So now the question is, what happened when Karen put her out? That's what you need to explore. And you might have to ask Karen, don't say, "What did you do to my dog?" But maybe say, "Did anything happen last night when you put the dog out? How did Brendy act? Or what did Brendy do?" Make it about Brendy's behavior, and maybe Karen will be a little more honest with you about what happened. Because it sounds like something that happened with Karen is what scared her from the leash. And it's also something you can't give into her fear about. You are going to have to get her right back on that leash. She knows how to walk on it. She's been doing it ever since you got her. You may have to do something like bring out a little sandwich meat or some kind of smelly, yummy treat to kind of snap her out of that fear a little bit, make her more interested in it again. Put it on her, put the leash on her, give her the treat, make sure she knows, oh yeah, this is a positive thing, I remember. And then just take her out as normal. She may put up a fight, but she's probably not going to fight a lot because it's you. So I would definitely recommend just kind of like getting back on the horse. This is something she knows how to do. So you're not starting from scratch. You just have to figure out getting past whatever happened with your sister last night. But, if she's really not wanting to, if she's hiding under the bed, smelly, yummy treats, that'll bring her out and maybe get figured out why, get her to figure out that this is, oh yeah, this is a positive thing. So all right, Nancy, thanks for stopping in. I've been enjoying your videos. You guys, Nancy's been putting up some really good videos of the aquarium in Seattle. So you got to go check those out. And definitely, Sherry, you'll want to try to approach your sister in a way that doesn't start a fight. That's why I say, don't say, what did you do to my dog? Say, how did Brendy act? What was Brendy's behavior? You know, then she doesn't think you're blaming her, even if you really are, you know. So oh good God. They probably got pregnant at the same time. Yep, Donna, dogs will grieve after their owner dies. That's definitely true. I know Ken has told me a bit about baby and possum grieving after Sid passed away. They definitely feel it. And other dogs will grieve too. Like when Mozart died, Possum grieved for him. When Baby died, Possum grieved for him. So, and when Possum died, Spike grieved for her. He'd go out and lay where we buried her. He'd lay on the grass right where we buried her. So, let's see. Yes, Travis, exactly. If the sister had negative energy, the dog picked up on it. And I know some things that are going on in that family, and I'm pretty sure the sister was not patient if the dog was not doing exactly what she wanted. But yeah, I can imagine you'd have to retrain your lead dog because getting hit by a snowmobile is very traumatic. So, Travis, what kind of techniques do you think you're going to have to use for retraining after a traumatic incident like that? Because I know that's a little different than, like, Chloe had lifetime neglect and abuse. So it's a little different, but I'm kind of curious as to what kind of techniques you would use for retraining something like that. I know when we first got Spike, if we acted like we were going to pick him up, he literally screamed. And anybody that's had a Chihuahua has heard the Chihuahua scream. He screamed like we were killing him just because we were going to pick him up. And it took a couple months for him to figure out that when we were picking him up, it was actually to cuddle him. And then he sucked it up and, you know, then he wanted to be picked up. But it took a while to get him to understand we weren't going to hurt him. The only time after that he would start screaming was then when he did something wrong and I'd go after him to, you know, discipline him. And then you could hear him screeching all the way across the trailer park. So, hey, Canadian. Yep, that good old, yeah, now Spike jumps into your arms whether you want him there or not. Canadian, I put the link up. We're talking about dealing with fearful dogs. And I know you've had dogs in the past. I don't know if you've ever dealt with fear in your dog, but you are more than welcome to come up and talk about it if you would like. Yeah, Spike actually, strangers come in the house and he's like, pet me, pet me, pet me. Chloe, we're just teaching her that if somebody comes in the house, she needs to stay on the couch and not bark, and because she's afraid of people coming in the house. So that's another thing we're working on with her. Well, Sherry, I would definitely recommend working on getting her back on the leash as soon as possible. Don't let that become a permanent fear. Don't let one incident, wreck the work you've done with her so far. So, yep, Donna, they call that door dashing. And I think I can send you the link that I have, or the video that I made about teaching my dogs not to DoorDash. Yeah, Sherry's kind of learning the hard way about why you teach your dog not to DoorDash. Yeah, I can imagine that, Travis. It just depends on how the dog deals with it. The thing I see being an issue with the dog sled team is that you might be able to get them back into their harnesses and get them running down the trail, but if anything startles them, then you've got out of control dogs, and that's where the work really begins. You have to teach them to not be startled again like they used to be. Just focus on the running and all that. That would be my mental picture of how that would have to happen anyway. I've never had a sled dog team, obviously, but just my experience with dogs in general, you know. Yep, dogs will definitely train other dogs to do stuff. Possum taught Spike to go back around behind the shed, and he could sit in the sun and be out of the wind when it was kind of cold outside. And then after we got Chloe, Spike taught Chloe the same thing. So they do teach them each other. Yeah, I don't imagine she would like any sudden dreams. I actually plan to. That's actually one of the ones that's kind of tucked in the back of my mind is to do a stream in the month or so before the 4th of July to, you know, specifically deal with fireworks. And another one, we're coming up into spring when we're going to start having thunderstorms, and so I'm going to do one to deal specifically with storms and, loud noises. We get Pete Lean. It's a uh, uh, I just went blank. They cut rock and make gravel and stuff like that. They blast at least once a day during the week, and it's still one of those things where Chloe goes into fight or flight mode, and usually it's flight down the hallway when they blast, because there's like a pre-blast and then the main blast, and that pre-blast just gets her running, and I have not been able to figure out how to keep her from taking off when they blast. But if she's outside, she does circles in the yard when they blast. So yeah, dreams we are, aren't we? Rock quarry, thank you. I just went totally blank on what it was called. Yeah, it shakes. If you're outside, it feels like a small earthquake. It's nuts. We're actually expecting them to cause an earthquake with how much blasting they're doing. So I can't even catch her to make her stay on the couch. She just instantly flies down the hall when they blast. So, but like if we have a thunderstorm, I've tried a couple different things, and one of the first things that I did that actually worked was I was actually in bed and it started thundering. And so I ran real quick and got the treats, and I started dancing on the bed, like on my knees, and I grabbed her paws and I started dancing with her. And every once in a while, I give her a treat, and she was like, it snapped her out of being freaked out, because she was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And then I started bopping around on the bed like a dog does when they're playing, and they get down into that play position. And all of a sudden, she realized, oh, it's playtime, and it just completely snapped her out of being afraid of the thunder. And then we were wrestling and playing and having a blast. And after that, she still jumps if it's really loud thunder, but it generally doesn't bother her anymore. So, thunder shirts. I know some dogs that react really well to them, and they help a lot. My best friend has a dog that actually chewed his thunder shirt off during a thunderstorm. He was so freaked out that that's how he reacted to it. So they actually give him CBD treats during thunderstorms, and that is the first thing they've ever found that has calmed him down. It at least keeps him from chewing on himself and running circles and stuff like that. So, but I know more people that the thunder shirts have worked for than haven't, but I do know a few that their dogs are just too high strung during a storm to that a thunder shirt won't work. So yep, they actually tried putting like low music playing on headsets, and that made him bark. they had the music down really low, and he just barked and barked and barked until they took that off, and then he barked at the storm. So, you know, the CBD so far has been the one thing they found that has helped him. And, you know, it just depends on the dog. Every dog is different. So I've thought about trying a thunder shirt for Chloe, but so far just working with her behaviorally has made such huge strides that the few times where a thunder shirt might be necessary, I can't, you know, I don't know when Pete Lena is going to blast, and that's a 30-second event. And then it's just a matter of her calming herself down and coming back out and rejoining us. So, you know, I'd still like to find a way to condition her to be okay with that sudden noise, but that may be one I never get to. I don't know. You know, and eventually I'm sure we'll probably move to where we're not living right next to a place that blasts every day. So, you know, but one of the things that I definitely have never done with her is, you know, what I call coddling. If she's shaking and scared, I let her lay next to me and she will try to be in my skin, you know, but I don't do a lot of petting her or talking to her during that time. I just let her kind of calm down on her own. And now, I mean, it used to take an hour to calm her down after something freaked her out. Now it's like 2-3 minutes of solid cuddling, and then she's okay to go outside again or whatever. So she's definitely made huge strides, but a lot of that is because I don't hold her. I don't reward the fear, like Cesar talked about. You don't want to reward that fear. And so I let her take care of herself. She knows I'm there, but because I'm not scared, she calms down quickly and goes about her day. So yeah, I can't see you dancing with her, Ken. I know for baby, the only thing that worked was letting him get in my lap and just snuggle as close as possible. And that was the only way he got through a snowstorm, a thunderstorm. Hey, Dave, welcome. Good to see you again. So I spent a lot of time during the summers with baby shaking on my lap. But Chloe's running in her sleep. Finally, somebody going to join me on panel. Hello. Hello? If you're talking, I can't hear you. All I hear is a little bit of static. Ken says, thunder snow really freaks Chloe out and confuses me. Yes, we have thunder snow here. You may need to back out and come back in, Canadian. I'm not sure. Unless you're having a problem with the headset or something. Just static. I can barely hear you. Oh, wait, I heard something. There we go. Hi, there you are.
There. Better?
Yeah, that's much better. I can hear you now.
Yay!
So you said you've dealt with fear in your dogs. Where'd you go? You're just staticky again. Technical difficulties. Donna, everything makes you frisky. Yeah, the first time we had thunder snow here, I mean, I just moved out here a couple months before, and we had a late spring blizzard, and it thundered and snowed at the same time, and I'd never experienced anything like that. It was just crazy. Oh, I just saw Dreams comment, does Ken need a thunder shirt? Oh, Travis, that's not good. Onions are toxic to dogs. Got to be careful with that. Oh, that's Anthony.
I'm glad to see
Hello.
you. Oh, it's Anthony. You begin to sound like
I was like, oh, that's Anthony. I don't have to do anything.
no, this is the way you said. I was thinking that you're starting to sound like the wife in the morning. Oh, it's you.
Yeah, Ken says my thunder shirt is whiskey.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine from down here. I took up north one time, and we got in a snowstorm like that where it was thunder and lightning. He's like, he goes, I didn't know it lightning and thundered and snow. I'm like, well, yeah, it's just like rain. It's just as frozen for it's the ground.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, out in Washington, we never had thunder snow. I'd never heard of it before until I moved to South Dakota. And
yeah. Well, I have to admit, though, the first time someone ever sees it, because even me, because I was down south so long, when I went back up north, I'd been gone so long. When I first seen my first one, that's kind of like, it was kind of eerie, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty wild when it's like a blizzard outside and all of a sudden lightning just lights up the snow. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Dreams, I like that idea. I like that idea.
Now counting reflecting off the snow crystals, it blinds the shit out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why people used to wonder why skiers wear sunglasses. You know, I'm like, well, because snow blindness.
Yep.
Or you got to put that little black shit right up underneath your eyes, you know.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't believe Ken when he told me about it. I thought he was kidding.
Oh, yeah. Snow blindness is a real thing.
No, thunder snow.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah. Yeah.
I had temporary snow blindness one time. We went skiing at Terry Peak here in the Black Hills, and I lost my sunglasses somewhere. And I was a kid. I didn't think anything of it. And about halfway through the afternoon, I was going down a run,
I
and
couldn't
all
see
of a sudden
shit.
my vision closed in on me, and I was just like tunnel vision. I
Yeah.
got down to the bottom, and my dad was down there, and I was freaking out because I couldn't see.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank God it's temporary. Well, it can be permanent depending on how long you're out in it. But yeah. I did the same thing the first time I ever went snow skiing. I was like, I don't need no fucking sunglasses. I'm used to sun. I've worked outside all the time. And about 3 hours later, I was like, yeah, maybe I should have wore the sunglasses. Because I got up the next morning, walking in the house, and I'm feeling shit.
Mm-hmm. It was about 24 hours before I had decent vision again.
Right. Yep.
And I basically stayed in a dark room that whole time.
So yeah, because light kill your eyeballs.
Yeah.
Give you a headache and everything else.
Yep. Oh, I know I'm getting close to my hour, but I wanted to hear what Canadian Witches had to say, and she seems to be having trouble.
Oh, what is safe and not safe to feed dogs? Oh, yeah. Well, unfortunately, nowadays with the shit they make in food, it's not even safe for us, more or less a dog.
Have you had to deal with anything with fear with your dogs or any of the dogs that you've had since
Well,
what we're talking
not even with the Chihuahua, because I've always kennel trained. That's
Mhm.
my way of giving them their security. Because a lot of people think it's cruel. I said no, it's cruel when you leave them locked in at 24 or 23 or 22 hours of the day. My thing is, when I'm at home and around them, the kennels are open to them. It's like a bed. It's their security. Now, when I leave, that's the only time we shut the gate and lock, because that gives them the security that, they're in a small spot. No one's going to bother them. Nothing can get to them.
Yep.
Especially the Chihuahua, because, most Chihuahuas, and I found if you train a Chihuahua like that, they're a lot better, because, most Chihuahuas got that little, oh my God, shake and pee all over the place. She don't do that. Now, all her brothers and sisters were just trained the normal way without a kennel, just let run wild. And someone spooks them or scares them, they piss all over the floor. They freak. They freak out. She don't do that. I mean, I can open bags around her. I can do the garbage bag, and she'll just stand there and look at me.
Nice.
Yeah. But I've always credited that to I've always kennel trained every dog I ever had.
Yeah.
I don't really call it a kennel. I call it their bed.
Yeah. Yeah. When I had Mozart, I crate trained him, and I called it his house.
Right.
And all I had to do was say house, and he'd go right in there. And
Well, that's like her. I said, well, go get in your bed and straight to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have room for that. And honestly,
no, you gotta have room. You gotta have room.
When we got Chloe, and I found out she had literally spent basically the first 2 years of her life locked in a crate, with like a little bit of time out to go pee, and then right back in the crate. I was like, oh no, I'm not putting her back in a crate. So
Right. No, you gotta have room for it. I mean,
yeah.
I don't down anybody for having a pet, but what pissed me off, you get these people that live in town, live in the city, and they live in a little apartment, and they get a full-grown dog. And I'm like, you're stupid. Because a dog, as well as me, a full-grown dog has to have room to run. I'm sorry. And taking them to the park once, maybe twice a week is not. No. To me, a large breed dog is like where I grew up, on a big ranch or farm where, you had fields and cows and just let them go ape shit,
Well, I do know people that have had large breed dogs in town. But they also walk their dogs for like an hour in the morning, an hour at night.
Well, yeah, but as well as me, not everybody does that.
Yeah.
Not everybody does. And I'm sorry. They may love their pets, but there's a lot of things that get neglected due to, I'm sorry to say, but majority of human nature is being lazy asses. I mean, it's in our nature. Yeah. That's why we're always looking for that shortcut. you know.
Yep.
Yeah. No, even with the fenced in area I refuse to have a large dog because to me, the last time I had a large dog, I was sitting on 28 acres of fenced in land.
Yeah.
So, now I'm probably maybe 3 acres now altogether.
Yep.
But
Well,
I still don't have a large breed for one, because I live in city limits and you got put up with the bullshit. And then certain breeds are outlawed, period, because people didn't take care of their dogs right.
Well, something that, the people that have the large breed dogs that live in town that don't walk their dogs or that don't give their dogs that energy release they need, they are actually creating a fearful dog. That kind of goes back to what we're talking about. If a dog doesn't have that energy release, it can actually become afraid of things that are normal, everyday things.
Well, yeah, because it's used to being cooped up. It's used to being cooped up.
Well, and a dog that is not exercised or that doesn't get that energy release, it's just like a human where your brain starts spinning and you start freaking out over stuff you don't need to freak out over. And that's what a dog will do too if it's not getting that energy release that it needs.
Well, that's why, I'm sure you run this like you be in an apartment area and you knock on your friend's door and 2 doors down, he's got 3 big, large breed dogs that never leave the apartment. And they're freaking just for you knocking 3 doors down, they're going ape shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, seriously? Yeah.
Oh, good grief. Being blinded.
It's like my neighbors that just bought the house. Well, actually, it's my old sister's house, but it's been sold twice already. But they finally bought and moved in. And I think they came from a smaller area. Now they actually have a yard that's fenced. They decided they're going to let the dogs out, which is good. But the thing is, their dogs are not trained to be outdoors at all. And all they do is yelp, bark, howl, because they won't in.
Yeah.
They don't want to be outside because they're not used to it. And I was trying to be nice and let her know they need to work with it because there's a few people in this neighborhood that ain't going to put up with that shit.
Yeah.
That freaking constant. I mean, the whole time they're outside, all you hear is, and I'm like.
Yeah, I'd be one of those neighbors complaining. I don't let my dogs bark.
I'm giving them a chance because they just moved in. They just bought the house. And, I know how it is to buy a house and all of a sudden have your neighbors turn on you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because believe me, when I first moved in this house after it sit for 10 years empty, even though everything that was here was grandfathered in, because this used to not be city limits.
Yeah.
And you would not believe the people's like, oh, the heat, and the little lady that drives the little white truck for the county, not county, but here they call them parish, but same thing, county.
Yeah.
She tells them, hey, he's grandfathered in. There's nothing we can do until he destroys it, sells it, or moves and sells it to someone else. He's grandfathered in. The new rules don't apply to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I want to go outside and build a bonfire, I can go outside and build a bonfire. I want to throw a chicken coop back here. I can throw a chicken coop back here. Because it's still in our family name, it's not been sold. So
yeah, Travis, that's a good lead dog, definitely.
Yeah.
Donna, my dogs, I can open the front gate and I've taught them both to not go out the gate unless I call them out of the gate. And so even if it accidentally gets left open, they'll just stand there and look at it or ignore it and go play in the rest of the yard. Yeah. And when they start barking, I go outside. I get off my ass. I go outside and I say, I've got it. That's enough. And they quit. And if they don't quit, they know they have to come inside.
That too, just like mine and others, I tell people once in a while you got to open a gate and let them get snoopy. But then you got to let them know, hey, that's not your territory. Get back, and after a while they'll know, well, I don't go past that boundary unless I'm called,
Yep.
Yeah. Because I've had these gates open and they stop right there and people's like, well, the gate's open. I said, because they know.
Yeah.
That's the living room is off limits to them because I cannot, a lot of people do it and that's fine. When I sit on my couch or my recliner, I don't want to be in a rug of dog hair. That's just me. Hey. She's like,
You got it working. Okay, so
I got it working.
what we were waiting for was actually Canadians had some experience with a fearful dog, and I wanted to kind of hear what she was wanted to say about that.
Yeah, what we did was what you call it? We started playing classical music.
What was the dog?
Whenever his name was Oscar, he was a brown lab.
What was he afraid of?
Thunder
Okay.
and lightning. So what we started to do is, close the blinds so that it wouldn't be that flash of light.
Yep.
Then
Right.
we used what you call it, classical music,
Mm-hmm.
and that worked really well. Like I think we got that from Cesar Millan because my dad was a big fan of his.
Yeah. He does recommend classical music for all sorts of things, and one of them is to play over thunder. So
Yeah. That's what we did, and it worked immediately. It was amazing
right on.
how immediate it was, because I think it was just a puppy, so it was easy to work into.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I've got an app on my Echo that it'll play. It's called Calm My Dog, and it plays classical music. And I've never done it during a storm yet, but it seemed to help when I leave the house. If I play it, they don't howl as much, I guess.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, I'm glad you were able to find something when the dog was a puppy that you just kind of worked into being part of the routine, and that really helps when you can start it out as a puppy, work it into the routine, and then it just helps the dog to not be as afraid.
Yeah.
So yep.
Yeah, and I mean, our Oscar, he was kettle trained too. So I was listening to what Anthony was saying, and I totally agree. I mean, even my cats were kennel trained for the first year of when they were with me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to me, it just gives them a sense of their own security, because when you leave and
Yes.
come to get it and you lock it, to them, they figure that door's closed, no one else is in there, and even if they come in, I'm behind this bar,
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I had cats, I set up because I had 7 of them. I set up like a little apartment, kind of boxes stacked up. They were actually tucker totes, and cats would get in each one, and I had blankets and stuff in there, and that was where they went to, if something startled them or scared them or whatever, they'd go into their little box and be happy. These guys know the couch is their spot. They go hop on the end of the couch and cuddle up together, and are actually, I'm finding the longer they're together, the more bonded they're getting. And like, something startled Chloe the other day, and I don't even remember what it was, but Spike was immediately by her side and licking her face, which he never does.
Wow.
He's commoner. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
That's any animal. Once you have them together long enough, I mean, I helped King, my Rottweiler, when he was live, not this ferret, but the ferret before him was a female, and her name was Flower. She used to get up around the back of his head and neck and sleep.
oh, cool.
Yeah. At first, he didn't care for it too much, but after a while, he would just do that.
Yeah. Right on. Well, Travis has given a lot of good suggestions. What I read, if you guys want to go back to the beginning of the chat, if you weren't here, you can go back and listen to what Cesar has to say about dealing with a fearful dog. Canadian gave a couple good suggestions there.
Mhm.
Donna and Anthony seem to have had it pretty easy with their dogs, but they started out right with kennel training. That's one of the things Cesar recommends is if you start with kennel training or crate training, whatever you want to call it, you're automatically giving the dog a safe space and it will reduce fear overall. So it's not that they've had it easy. It's just that they've done it right from the beginning, and that makes a huge difference. So,
because I mean, even when a bad storm comes in, lightning hits close and makes a loud bang, they both go to their kennel.
Yep.
You know, it's just automatic. I mean, I'm in my kennel. I'm safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they probably don't sit in there and shake and whine either. They probably just
they usually ball up in their blanket and go to sleep.
Yep. And that's exactly the reason that crate training is suggested is for that, because it's like giving them their own little den, and that makes them feel safe, and it can really prevent a lot of the problems of having a fearful dog. So
a lot of people don't do it because they hear the horror story, you know, because you do get people that leave them locked in it 20 something hours a day, and I'm like, no, that's the wrong idea of kennel training. Yeah. It's not supposed to be a prison. It's supposed to be a place of comfort. And not only that, if you got to go somewhere, you know how easy it is to have a dog that goes into the deal without you having to shove them into it.
Yeah, Mozart, when I had Mozart, he was crate trained, and all I would do is say house, and he would go in there and
I can even bring one of them little plastic ones, the little carry-alls, like going to the vet and stuff, and just open up and tell them, get in, and they get in. Yeah, I don't have to drag them and throw them in there and shut the,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of good suggestions, and I'm gonna shut this down now just to keep this at about an hour so it's watchable.
Yeah.
And go ahead if you are interested in any more, dog stuff. You want to check out my group on Facebook. It's Dog Whisperer Cesar Millan Training Method Discussion Group. I had to name it something really long for some dumb reason, but but definitely if you want to go somewhere and get a ton of good suggestions from people that are very familiar with Cesar Millan, I've got some really good actual dog trainers as my mods, and so you're more than welcome to come and check out the group. Gamer, I'm actually going to start up a new stream that's just a regular BS stream. So don't go too far if you want to come back. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for those that came up. Oh, look at Canadian's dog.
Yeah.
Right,
Oscar.
I'll be back up a little bit. I got to get off here and get my chicken fried.
All right.
I'll see y'all later.
See you later, guys.